want to talk about the incredible times we are living in from an astrological perspective and the specialness of the next few years, specifically 2024 through 2026. There's some very powerful and significant transits occurring that speak heavily to what we are all experiencing collectively. So within the next 3 years, we're going to see a lot happening within a very short period. It's an accelerated, sort of compressed time period. In 2024, 2025, 2026, all the outer planets will change signs. And this speaks to powerful collective change and big shifts in consciousness happening. This year, Pluto moved into Aquarius. Next year, we have Neptune moving into Aries. We've got Uranus moving into Gemini. We've also got Saturn going into Aries. We've got this very powerful movement out of water and earth signs into fire and air signs. And this time period, specifically speaking to the next 2 to 3 years, is pointing to a kind of global transformation, a powerful expansion in consciousness or awakening happening on the planet. This specifically has to do with this idea that in the next 8 to 10 years, we are transitioning from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And this has been much talked about in New Age and metaphysical circles for a long time. Pluto moving into Aquarius, as it did in January of this year, is really acting as a catalyst for this transformation. Now, with all 3 outer planets changing signs, it does speak to the fact that the spirit of the times is changing. There's a new zeitgeist being born. And civilization, just in the span of the next 3 years, is going to go through very rapid change. The old order will absolutely be swept away, and a lot will have to be redesigned, restructured, rebuilt to fit the new reality and the new consciousness that's being born through the trials and tribulations of this time period. So just in 2025 and 2026, we can expect to experience very powerful and dramatic societal shifts. And this does mean, yes, there will be societal upheaval, as we've already been experiencing, and transformation. It is really one of the more powerful time periods. And honestly, it's a time of just enormous collective change. Now, this, like I said, is really catalyzed by Pluto moving into Aquarius on January 20th. This is a once every 250-year transit. So this hasn't happened since 250 years ago, when we had the American Revolution, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, a time of rapid progress, change, total restructuring of society, socially, politically, economically. Remember, Pluto is the planet of transformation and evolution. And this is a planet that breaks down the old, sheds the old, discards the old, so the new can be born, so that we can move into another way of being. It rules evolution. And so when we're dealing with Pluto, we're kind of placed into the crucible of change, and the old gives way to the new. And there's a purification process we sort of go through with Pluto, where old patterns and old structures have to be dismantled to make way for the new, which is something we are all experiencing. What no longer sustains us will be eliminated by Pluto. What's no longer needed will be shed and discarded. And Pluto is about rebirth as well, not just death. It's also about rebirth, renewal, regeneration, and new beginnings. And Pluto is trying to help give birth to that which is going to sustain us moving forward. So yes, we will face the destruction of the old, but we also will experience the birth of the new. And it's interesting to note, Pluto always is tied to our collective evolution. So this is speaking heavily to a growth process, an evolutionary process we are all going through at the same time on the planet. Now, as I said, the last time Pluto moved into Aquarius was 250 years ago. We had the American Revolution, we had the French Revolution, we had the Industrial Revolution. Every time Pluto enters a new sign, especially the sign of Aquarius, society undergoes unprecedented change. And Pluto entered Aquarius January 20th of 2024. It will stay in this sign until January 2044. And it's important to mention, while we're getting a taste of some of this new energy coming in 2024 this year, Pluto does go retrograde from May 2nd to October 11th in 2024. And that means it's going back to the last degree of Capricorn from September 1st to November 19th. So November 19th, it goes back into Aquarius, 0 degrees of Aquarius. But from September 1st to November 19th of 2024, we are back into the sign of Capricorn, the last degree of Capricorn. And this is significant. Not only, are there very powerful elections happening in the world during this time period, and there's very significant events brewing in the world during this time period. This speaks back to this long journey that we've been on since 2008, because Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. Actually, almost immediately after Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008, we dealt with the financial crisis in the United States. No surprise there, as Capricorn rules financial institutions, banking, state government, corporations, these larger structures, powers, authorities within society, and systems that hold power. So Pluto going back to the 29th degree of Capricorn from September 1st through November 19th is it's the grand finale of what we've been moving through since 2008. The 29th degree is called the anaretic degree in astrology, and it's a very fated and karmic degree. And the energy at the 29th degree is culminating, it's climaxing. And there are big themes of endings and having to let go of things, and the dissolution of certain things, and a transition towards something new. So, with the 29th degree being emphasized specifically through the fall of this year, it's a time of major turning points. And it's in Capricorn, again, government, corporations, larger institutions and structures and systems that run countries, that run society. We're talking about these sort of established systems in society, socially, politically, and economically. So there's definitely a theme here, especially with Pluto in Capricorn, of transforming, exposing, destructing system structures that do not serve us. And this, again, is pointing the finger at what's sort of held power and control and authority in the world, in society, how it's been structured, how it's been used. Obviously, for millennia, we've been trained to externalize power and authority and to sort of subjugate ourselves to it. And we've been living within these patriarchal structures, putting a select few in charge. A few get power and control and are placed in roles of leadership and privilege and control of property and resources. And everybody else is sort of subjugated to that. And Pluto is helping us root out, Pluto's about shadow work. It's about helping us root out and deconstruct and get rid of what's toxic, destructive, or decaying. So again, there's big themes here around exposing the foundation of things, exposing authority, power, exposing dishonesty, lies, greed, abuses of power, corruption. This has been going on since 2008, but we kind of get a revival through the fall. And I would expect some big things coming out, maybe things regarding the past around some people high in government, around some of these people who are in positions of power and authority. And again, this is about exposing things and dishonesty and the truth. Pluto is a planet that's very much about exposing the truth. And we can be going through kind of a harsh reveal through this time period regarding the underbelly of things, especially what's held authority and power. And the shadow of, countries are coming out even, and people collectively. So this is definitely promoting the destruction and the collapse of old systems and structures, and the idea that, especially as we move toward Aquarius, the building sort of new systems that work better for everyone. So there is an idea here of sort of the old order collapsing and the new order that's going to serve everybody better coming forward. So let's talk about Pluto going into Aquarius. It is a big shift out of Earth into air, an air sign. It does speak to a big shift in consciousness. We're moving into a more global awareness and consciousness, and a lot of what's coming up in the next 2 years is going to make us heightenedly aware of our greater connection to one another and even the Earth itself, and how important it is that we cooperate and we work together. And this is sort of emphasized as Pluto moves into Aquarius. Now, Pluto goes back into Aquarius in November of this year, and through next year, we're really making our full entrance into this energy. Air signs are associated with social issues and interaction, intellectual pursuits, technology, communication, intellectual growth. Aquarius is a progressive sign. It's forward thinking. It's really a consciousness that's about we versus I, sort of mentality. It's visionary. It's revolutionary. It's rebellious. It's innovative. It's a sign that's about freedom and independence and liberty. And back in the 1960s, obviously, there was a lot of talk about the age of Aquarius. And the counterculture movement really put forth this idea. The age of Aquarius was sort of said to be a new age of peace and understanding, a time of enlightenment, of growing self-awareness, of brotherhood and sisterhood, of really connecting to our common humanity and valuing kind of pacifism and libertarianism. And, it really was also anti-authority, and this idea of kind of wanting to return back to a simpler life, sexual freedom, creativity, music, search for spiritual experience. Many turned to the East to find that at that time. Use of hallucinogenics to achieve spiritual experience. Lots of environmentalism, consciousness coming on to the planet at that time. And that was really our first taste of the age of Aquarius. You know, the ideals were there, the values were there. But with Pluto going into Aquarius, we're going to see this upsurge in a movement very similar to that of what the counterculture sort of put forth. The symbol of Aquarius is interesting. It typically shows a man and sometimes a woman pouring a urn of water. Usually they're holding an urn or a jug. This is why they're called the water bearer. in astrology. And in that glyph, the water bearer is washing away the past and making us ready for a fresh and clean start in some way. The water represents this. It's not water, really. It's really knowledge. It's new consciousness, a higher consciousness that brings new visions, new knowledge, new ideas, new possibilities, and hope for a better future. And it makes us aware of the ideal that we should be striving and working toward. When we're getting into the territory of Aquarius, we're dealing with this need for civilization to grow, to be reformed. And it's kind of interesting, even in more esoteric astrology, Aquarius is associated with the task of cleansing the land that's become tainted and destroyed and spoiled by misuse and corruption. So we get this concept of purification. We get this concept of this cosmic energy coming from this urn in Aquarius that's kind of putting us through a cleansing process. And our task is sort of to ground and integrate these energies that will help us reshape the world and consciousness. So yes, on the ground, we're going to see a lot of revolution. We're going to see a lot of uprising. We're going to see a lot more of a need for freedom and to redesign the way we do life and structure power. We will see the disruption of the old rules, the old structures, the dismantling of the old paradigm. A new paradigm is being born through this time. And we will be working on the themes of cooperation, collaboration, and community. These are going to become the most important things through this period. Aquarius is associated with groups, networks, communities, and our awareness of our interconnectedness. And while Aquarius does value individuality, and, it supports this idea that every person is meant to bring forth their skills, their gifts to the table in order to support the greater good, to serve the greater good. So there's an idea here of everyone's figuring out how they can contribute in their own unique way. Based on their own skills, their own gifts, based on who they are and their individuality. This is also a sign that's about innovation. So innovating new ways of doing things, especially at a societal level. And, Aquarius is divergent in nature. It's interested in breaking with convention and tradition and getting very focused on inventing a new future. Because it's always a little bit ahead of its time, this sign. So especially in the early part of Pluto and Aquarius, there can be a lot of big ideas being born, big new movements being born. And a lot of this is around this idea of sort of needing to invent a new future. Because in this sign, we're all collectively thirsting for change, and we're longing for a better future. And Aquarius actually rules the collective and how we can come together, how we can work together to create change. This is all about the fraternity of humankind and gathering together, collecting with like-minded souls and people for a higher cause, a higher purpose that in this case is planet Earth. So Aquarius is about community building, which we are going to see a lot of in this time. We're going to see a lot of new ideals being born, equality, justice, liberty, freedom, peace. These are things that are important in the sign of Aquarius. We move from me and hyper-individualism and, separative sort of psychology, every man for himself, to we, in terms of really understanding how we're all connected, how everything's interconnected. Science is going to help us further this understanding. There's going to be even more science proving how interconnected we all are, how it all really works. I'm very curious at the quantum physics level, what other discoveries are going to be found during this time, because Aquarius deals with science, it deals with technology, and it deals, at more of a more at a societal level, we're going to be seeing, we're entering an era of real scientific, social, political revolution. And that means breakthroughs, groundbreaking findings, discoveries, inventions that change our lives, that change society, and change our awareness of how everything works, even our place in the cosmos. So, yes, there's a lot of talk about disclosure, about, our cosmic citizenship, our citizenship here in the cosmos, and that we may not be alone. And as many have said before, the age of Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius, we will likely see a lot of disclosure on that front and a lot of new information coming out regarding our place in the universe. And yes, on the ground, there's going to be a lot of revolution. And yes, we can get some rebel groups. We can get people, conflicting. That's the one thing we have to watch for, is conflicting groups. The goal is that we can unite, and embrace all of our differences and not go into kind of these polarized states. But that's likely to happen at the beginning. And the goal, though, with Pluto and Aquarius is to build the new age, the new world. And it is very much concerned with the future. So there will be pressing issues about the planet, the environment, and how we collectively can live together better on this planet that is our home, all of our home. So I will say, we're obviously feeling it. We've been feeling it, I would say, since 2020. But specifically this year, there is a heightened sense of collective disillusionment and discontentment. And this is part of the awakening process in Aquarius. This will be growing through this time period. We are more disillusioned with how things are, the systems, the structures, authority, what has held power, and discontented with it. Even the way we've structured society, with the materialism and the lifestyles we've all had to basically live, and how that's impacted our quality of life. All of that's kind of coming to a head collectively. Now, very interesting, anytime we look at Pluto going into Aquarius, we obviously see systemic sort of reform, especially to corrupt institutions. The old world order always collapses when Pluto's in Aquarius, and there's a big shift in power dynamics, specifically power going back to the people. So there's a decentralization theme and we will see this with groups, communities reasserting and reclaiming power, joining and linking up networks to share resources, people turning less to the powers that be and turning more to community and connection and working together to solve issues. Again, our faith in the systems that are in place and the powers that are in place, especially that are rooted and grounded in the old world view, the old world structure, it's in the next 3 years completely dismantled. And we're going to find people really, joining forces, linking up, networking, sharing power, and working to transform the social order, political order, economical order. And in a good way, yes, we can see people sort of breaking into sort of smaller tribes. We can see people going sort of back to the fundamentals of living. Especially, there will be a lot of people that want to turn their back sort of on the government and, really want to get off the system, basically, more and more. But the system is going through such a radical dismantling and change in the next 2 years, just the next 2 years. So we're already seeing that being seeded even in the United States in 2024. What's going on politically in this country is already planting the seeds for that. And the next 2 years, it happens. So with Pluto and Aquarius, we're going to see a lot more revolution, rebellion, powerful social and political movements happening and developments happening, big ideological shifts, big social political reform. There will be life-changing inventions that change our daily living. Again, we'll be continuing to purge what's toxic and not serving where we're going as a collective. And we will see a huge acceleration and awakening happening on the planet. There is a new consciousness being born on the planet through this period. And it is global, and it is revolutionary, and it is about birthing the new age. And it will be really kind of grounded in the next, 3 to 4 years in people's awareness. So expect revolution, expect us reinventing the way we do things, expect us seeing very powerful technological progress. We will be dealing with a lot of themes around groups of people coming together, all different types of groups. Not all are going to be, counterculture loving. We're going to see we'll see an upsurge of all types of groups. And the goal is that we can cooperate. But we'll see the shadow sides of cults, of joining groups, of some of that will be coming out with Pluto and Aquarius. And we'll see some fundamentalism and fanaticism with this as well. But we'll also see a lot of people coming together for the good of the collective, for a higher purpose, regarding humanity, building global networks on the planet and working to contribute and uplift humanity. That's what Aquarius is all about. And there will be a lot of new ideas born and a big paradigm shift taking place through this time. Now, wherever you have Aquarius in your birth chart, this is where this energy is really at work for you, where this revolutionary energy, this new consciousness is coming in for you. This is an area that's slated for enormous progress and development in the next couple of years. You will be revolutionized in this department of life. You will be awakened. You will undergo transformative growth where you have Aquarius, any planets in Aquarius, and the house you have in Aquarius. This is a time where you're going through a big liberation. This area is being totally reinvented and restructured. And in some way, you'll be moving away from the old order to the new as well. So remember, just as we're doing this on the macrocosmic collective level, we will also be individually going through this movement, this development. And so that's why you want to look at where you have Aquarius in your own birth chart. That will let you know where that is. So we will see some extremes coming up here in the next couple years. It can be in terms of Earth events. It can be in terms of social events. It can be in terms of groups. And the goal is we want to get out of the division. We want to get out of the polarity. Again, Aquarius is about coming together with all of our differences to serve a common cause or purpose. And to really, Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, he had spoken about how he had a poster on his wall of a satellite image of Earth, and how wouldn't it be great if one day that was, the universal flag, rather than the United States flag, the Russian flag, the English flag, that instead, we had this kind of global identity and awareness, and that, I think, is the age of Aquarius. That's where we're trying to go. While I would forecast that the next 10 years specifically are somewhat challenging in the sense of we are making this huge transition into a new paradigm, into a new reality, into rapidly changing society in a way that will serve our future and serve, our continued future on the earth. We will see some upheaval during this time. And again, it's all in service to this larger movement happening in the evolution of humanity. And that, I think, is the big picture view we all need to take, is that maybe we chose to be here at this time. And maybe this is a very important time in the evolution of human consciousness. And very specific developments are happening through this time period that we get to be a part of. And our job is to figure out how to tune into the higher purpose of this and figure out how to align with it and live according to it. So Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus into Gemini, Neptune into Aries. We are in for a ride the next 2 to 3 years.